Yo, guys, what's up? And welcome back to the Marvelous Chats podcast. This is episode 119. Tonight on the cast is myself, Finto, and Alex, aka Zaberwolf. Tonight we're going to be talking about the first half of the season of Invincible, season 2, and any other kind of nerdy news. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been live, so it could be a short one, could be a long one. I don't know yet, but hey, let's find out. What's up, dude? How are you?
Hey, what's going on, man?
I'm good,
Just
man. How
been,
are you?
just been busy. Trying not to get sick. It's getting colder, so
Bro, I have COVID at the moment. It's not ideal. That's probably why I sound a little different. Yeah, it's weird, right? Because I've had COVID a few times now, but this time it just kind of felt like I had a feeling that like there was like a flu or something coming on because I woke up on Saturday morning and I kind of felt a bit like kind of achy, and I was like, oh no. I was like, normally that kind of feels to me like I've had like a whopper workout session in the gym.
Mhm.
And I was like, shit, I haven't been to the gym. So I was like, okay, I kind of think I'm getting sick. But Saturday was kind of fun. I just kind of took it easy. I didn't really want to do much. I just wanted to rest and kind of, hydrate and all that sort of stuff. But then
Right.
Saturday night into Sunday morning, I went to bed nice and early on Saturday. Like I think I was in bed at like 10 p.m., which is like unheard of for me. And literally, I started waking up at like I was waking up like every half hour, and it was like the shivers, the fever started kicking in. I was like, oh no, here we go.
Oh, geez.
So yeah, but I was taking painkillers and stuff like that. And to be fair, I woke up this morning and I was past like the vast majority of it. So I was kind of thinking to myself, okay, it's not too bad. Like it's all right. But I did a test because I was meant to be going out to this like Christmassy village thing today.
Mhm.
We all bought tickets and everything, and like her family were coming across the country for it and all. And like her sister's pregnant, so my miss was like, let's do a COVID test because if you have it, I don't want you anywhere near my sister because she's like very pregnant. And I was like, this is exactly
Right.
what happened to me last year with my girlfriend. Um, so I was like, Ran, I'll do one. I was like, I don't feel bad, but we'll do it anyway. And I popped a test, so like I do have it. So I was like, shit. So I had to text my manager today, like, oh no, looks like looks like I'm not gonna be able to go into the. I'm supposed to be on a client side on Monday and Tuesday. I was like, I'm currently positive for COVID here, so I can't really go anywhere. But I said I should be fine to work from home. Like I genuinely feel fine. I'm like a little kind of flustered, but like like it's very manageable. Like I've had COVID a few times, and like this is easily a walk in the park compared to the last couple that I had. So
It's crazy, man. Like you've had COVID multiple times. I've heard tons of people having COVID multiple times. I've only had it
yeah,
once. I'm not trying to like say that I'd like to get it, but
I
I'm
don't know.
really
I don't know.
happy.
I don't know what it is, man. I just I think I got it like before the whole like lockdown as well. Because I remember the first year that it came out was like 2020. I think in like 2019, I got like a flu in like December or like November, December time. And I
Mhm.
remember thinking to myself, like, oh, I was like, I felt like shit. And I was like, I haven't had a flu in like 5 years. And then when like the outbreak happened in like March of 2020, I got sick again. Or maybe it was like February. It was only like a couple of months later. And I was like, okay, one of them had to have been COVID. So I think I was like had COVID before like it was like the global shit like happened.
Yeah.
So and then I didn't get it for ages, but like to be fair, like I got the vaccination because I wanted to live a life after the lockdowns and stuff, and I haven't done one since. But to be fair, I was only thinking about it today. I've actually gotten COVID the last like 3 Decembers in a row.
Mhm.
So I'll take it once a year for a couple of days. Like fuck it, like it's not the end of the world. Like it's all good. It's all good. Appreciate
Yeah.
anybody who's hanging out with us here, by the way. We got some people over in Twitch. Andre's over on Twitch. Chillin's here as well. What's up, dude? How are you? Yeah, guys, we haven't been here in a while. It's been a couple of weeks, so you know, I'm all for kind of catching up on the news and stuff. But to be honest, I don't really think there's a lot going on. And I know I think did was it 2 weeks ago? Or I can't even remember now. I think Invincible ended like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I just we didn't. I know we didn't talk about it. So I kind of wanted to
Mhm.
kind of put that as like the focal point around this episode of the podcast. But we could just dip off into whatever anybody wants to talk about, or we could just I don't know. I know there was some Deadpool leaks. That was kind of the only real big news I heard during the week. There was like a lot of set photos released, and Ryan Reynolds kind of made a joke of it himself and started putting up fakes himself and all to kind of poke fun at it in the classic Ryan Reynolds way, which was cool, funny.
Yeah, I'm really excited about all the things that are coming up, but I'm still a little bit wary. I don't think that their shows are doing like the best that they wanted them to, and I think that we're going to end up being in a drought because they're going to be pulling back quite a few projects. But I mean, I think that's a good thing. Honestly, like I remember when Hoffman jumped on and he was doing his stream. He was talking about how like they should do animation. And I agree, 100% agree with him. Like I've been wanting to.
We're talking about Marvel here, yeah.
Yeah, Marvel.
Yeah,
I want animations. Like I'm tired of having this whole like live action situation because you're hiring actors that are way too expensive now. You're hiring like you're hiring staff that aren't doing a great job with like writing, directing, story like portrayal of the story and whatnot. It just it doesn't seem like as fun as it used to be, and I think that the buildup is gone because after
Mhm.
Endgame, it's like you haven't really done anything to really connect any sort of situation whatsoever. And what if is one of the main things where I really would like for it to flourish better, but because it wants to become a story in and of itself by connecting everything within an entire season, that still pisses me off a bit because it like to me you don't have to do stuff like that. You don't have to connect everything within what if is its own thing. It should just be like 10 episodes of what if something happened, like that's all you got to do. Like it
Mhm.
doesn't have to end with what if all the people that we saw in what if got together and what if they did this. Like it's literally just let it be its own thing. That's what the whole point of that comic series is just random shit. Just put it all in. The Watcher should be fine. Like Watu's doing fine. Like we already had that first season where shit went down, so we don't need it again. And I'm starting to think that like season 2 is going to end up that way, because of course they feel like they need to connect everything within its own little bubble.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't know, man. Like I'm kind of I think what the MCU are starting to do now, they're pulling back on projects and stuff. I think there's only like one MCU project in 2024, which is going to be Deadpool 3. Like sorry, movie project. I think we've got What If season 2, The Echo Show. What else? There's something else. Is the Spider-Man animated series coming, and so's X-Men 97. So like I think like out of everything that Marvel are releasing next year, like I think like 3 out of the 4 projects or 3 out of the 5 projects are actually animated, which
Mm.
is interesting because I know you're wanting more anime, and I think next year you're probably going to get it.
I mean, but it depends on what kind of animated situation that they're going to come up with. I mean, we only saw a handful of things. We saw that it looked like it was hand drawn, but we could be completely taken, for like they could just be yanking our chains in that situation and changing up the animation for their sake. Because
Is the do you remember they were doing like a Marvel Zombies show, and I think they had planned on something else animated. Can't remember off the top of my head. I did think that they announced a couple of animated like projects though.
yeah, they were supposed to do Marvel Zombies. I think it's supposed to be a
Does
lot.
that stuff doesn't interest you though, does it?
Not necessarily with what they did with What If. Like I'm not like in favor of what they're doing for Marvel Zombies because they don't understand that all you have to do Marvel Zombies is go by the source material and it's a fucking winner. There's a
Yeah.
reason why that comic series like worked so well was because it was an alternate universe where they were afflicted by this virus that not necessarily means that they're zombies. It's just like I forgot what it's called. I think it's called the hunger.
Hmm.
And it doesn't get rid of the brain's ability to speak. It allows you to talk. And I
Okay.
think that's what we're missing is that there's this whole spiel in the series in that series where you know they're able to talk. They're filled with the hunger. Spider-Man gets afflicted. I think he eats Aunt May and Mary Jane and like
Oh dear.
um it's fucked up, dude. Like it's really fucked up. But like I don't think they're gonna do that. I don't think they're
Yeah.
gonna even attempt to do stuff like that. Hulk fucking eats a bunch of people. Um like you got it's some fucked up shit. And I think they're gonna ruin it because they don't want to do fucked up shit. They want to do
Yeah.
kind of fucked up, but not really because we want the kids to be able to watch it. And it's like, fuck off. Like it's a really serious situation. If we had zombies right now in real life, it's not for kids. It's not
No,
like
no, the
that's
world would have to adapt for sure.
yeah, it's some scary shit. So
Yeah.
make it scary. Like
Yeah, I agree.
and the whole point of them being able to talk is so that they could find a cure, or they're trying to figure out what to do, or they're trying to just live and whatnot. So it's like it's this whole situation. It's a completely different take from what we usually see in terms of like zombie movies or zombie shows. Like you see The Walking Dead, all those walkers are just they're walkers. they're not even called zombies; they're called walkers because that's like their persona from there.
Yeah.
You have Night of the Living Dead. You have the no, I can't say 28 Days Later. That's a virus. But like
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
different
And like
takes.
the fact that you bring up Walking Dead, I don't know what it was like for you guys over in America, but like here in Ireland, I remember when The Walking Dead was brand new and like season one aired, and I had friends, like people that I worked with, who were like parents, and I was still young at the time, but like they were parents with like 10-year-old kids, and they were all watching The Walking Dead together. So there was like 10-year-olds watching that stuff, and I remember thinking like, Jesus, it's very gruesome, like for kids to be watching like the bit with the at the bit at like the well where the zombie like rips in half and all. I was just like,
Oh
oh
yeah,
my god! And every week I would be thinking like this dude that I worked with. I was like, oh god, his son's watching that now. I was like, oh my god, he's like 8 years old or something. I was like, it's way too much. But like honestly, like I think we live in a world that it's not the same world that when me and you were kids. So to be honest, if Marvel released a movie that had like actual zombies in it, like live action zombies, and it was like The Walking Dead, I think a lot of people would let their kids watch that nowadays because it's like, oh, it's cool, like it's whatever, it's a spin off, and it's like Iron Man shooting zombies and stuff. Like, I'll let my kids watch it; it'll be fine. So
right.
I don't know.
But
I don't think it's as strict as it used to be.
right. But when you think about it, like if that's the case, then we're gonna go into a fluctuation because when it came to movies, at the start of like movies, they didn't really have any sort of rating system, which is why they like over time they came up with it
Yeah,
to bar kids from having this sort of issue because it can technically traumatize them or like make them dissociate from like society in a normal way. Um, it's kind of fucked up, but like there's some kids who can handle it. It's a roll of the dice, dude. So like I don't think there's an issue with it if the parent is okay with them watching it. But if it's freaking out the kid, the parent shouldn't just be like, "You pussy." Like it's
oh
got
yeah,
to
like
be
parents know, bro. Like I know, for example, like my 9-year-old son, like if he every time he walks into the sitting room at nighttime when we're watching something, he'd be like, "Is it scary? Can I come in?" Like like he know, like he's petrified of stuff like
yeah,
that. Like so, and we know like what he can and can't watch, or like so it's down to the parents. Like, but I think it's the parents' job to filter it. You know what I mean? It's not down
right.
to the studio to filter it. Like, we're gonna put something out there. If you don't think it's like suitable for your child, don't let your child watch it. Simple as that.
Right. And
It
that's
should.
why I think that's why I think that with Disney Plus and like their streaming services, they're kind of like fucking up because they're not creating this whole situation where you can totally have like mature rated content
Mhm.
and bar it from the kids. And I'm pretty sure like they've been working on it and they probably had a few updates here and there. I haven't been keeping up on it. All I know is that like, you can make sections. You can make them
Yeah.
you can make sections, you can bar them from the kids. You can create different types of updates for your like UI so that like if the kid is trying to watch stuff, it's literally got a lock on the fucking thing
Mhm.
and you can't get in unless you got like a password or unless like you're like acknowledged by an adult or something. Like it can be that simple. Like the adult can have the multi-factor authentication on their phone and if the kid's trying to enter it, it's like your kid like it's like you're trying to enter into this thing, can you please use the multi-factor? And then it's like that alerts the parents, lets them know that they're being like that the kid's trying to get into something or someone's trying to get into it on a kid's account.
Yeah.
And so like it's that easy. So like, then that allows us to have our like mature rated stuff on Disney, which
Yeah.
I understand like it's been 100 years of Disney and like they don't want to necessarily push into the mature rated stuff, but like you got to get with the times, man. Like
100%. I think they
when
are though. I think they slowly are. Like, the
yeah,
fact that
because we got
we
Deadpool now, right?
Deadpool's coming, Daredevil, the Echo Show. I think might be quite like the Echo Show. I believe is rated M, so I think that's coming in the next couple of weeks. So I think that could be starting off 2024 with a bit of blood. So that's a good
Mhm.
sign. You know what I mean? Marvel just announced a Blade game during the week, so it kind of seems like it's shifting a little bit. I kind of have high hopes that it will. Especially when you've got like the likes of Daredevil and Punisher, which they have a reputation of being very kind of rated R shit, and
Mhm.
like like anybody who knows anything about like Marvel knows that those shows are going to be very X-rated, and they're going to be on the Disney Plus app. So I think even parents know like shit. The Punisher is like pretty hardcore, so I think they are making that shift. It's just
Yeah.
taking a little bit more time.
Yeah, and like and I completely understand with them because I've done programming in my past, and it does take a bit of like working back and forth and trying to make sure you get the bugs out all out of the way. And if you're hitting a deadline, that makes it even worse. Like imagine some of the bugs that you don't get out of there, and it causes like some catastrophic shit
Oh
to
yeah.
go on. So like it's as easy as forgetting to put a semicolon somewhere.
Yeah, 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 for sure. Yeah, chilling just at their echoes on January 10th. I'm actually looking forward to it. I know that a lot of people don't have high hopes for it at all, but I think they might pull a win out of the bag. When the bar is so low, it won't be as hard to do, but I think they will. I only read today. I heard that Daredevil's meant to show up in episode 1, which is a very good sign.
Good.
So
Um,
yeah, I think they're going to dive straight into it.
right. In addition to that, we have season 2 of What If on December 22nd.
Oh wow, yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff actually coming up in the next couple of weeks, and for some reason my head's not in it. Like I know Rebel Moon's a big one that's coming out on Netflix. That's going to be. I'm very interested to watch that. I'm a Zack Snyder simp, as you know, so I'm very curious to see where he goes with it. And the whole time I'm going to be thinking, oh, this could have been a Star Wars movie. It's going to be crazy. So yeah,
Hopefully, I mean, you
I
never
think it's
know.
going to be
Like,
good. It could be terrible. Who
yeah,
knows? But you know, I think it's going to be good. I love the Den of Nerds, Josh from the Den of Nerds. Like he's like, this is going to be the next big thing, and he's blowing it up like crazy on his stream and all. I genuinely believe, I do believe, not because Josh is saying it. Like I'm genuinely a Snyder fan, so I really hope it does well. The cast is really good. Like the concept sounds cool, and the fact that I know it was a pitch for Star Wars just makes me a little more invested. I really want to see what Disney passed up on. I really hope that after that movie airs, we're kind of sitting there just going, "Oh man, Disney fucked up again. This could have been theirs." You could have had like something like a Rogue One, a solo movie that's kind of connected, but it's not, and really good, and maybe rated R, and just kind of dipping Star Wars's toe into the kind of mature content. Like I think it could have been a big win for them, but again, we need to see the movie and see what happens. But
right. Well, and like we need more legends. I think that's what we're missing in Star Wars, in my opinion. Like we need a lot more legends and less legend story. Like, so let me rephrase that. We need a lot more legends and less focus on one legend, because we're having so much of this focus on the Skywalker saga and everything that like revolves around Anakin and Luke, to the point where like when we get Ahsoka, it's done so poorly because the writers have no idea what they're doing, because it's already been written to death for everything that like can be seen as like spectacular. And it's I just like when we got the Mandalorian, it was such a like breath of fresh air.
yeah,
Um,
until
it
they
was
tied it
so
into
awesome.
everything.
Yeah, like it started really getting close to everything else, and it started getting really like boring because of that. And I think that it just took too long to answer the question of like, are they ever going to go get back to Mandalore? Because like that's when you see Bo-Katan, it's like, all right, so this ties into Star Wars, Rebels, and um like I'm not too savvy on it, so I'm not trying to like talk it up or anything, but like um I think that they were going in a good direction, but when they got to live action, it just really fell apart because they didn't understand like the characters. And it makes me think that they never watched the show. Like me, like I've
Yeah,
never really watched the show. So I'm not going to say anything about like how these characters should act. The only thing I know is that from the first episode that I saw from Ahsoka, although it was a fun experience at the very first episode, it felt like Sabine Wren was this character that was completely opposite of what she was in Rebels from what I've seen. Um
yeah,
because I've seen like clips and stuff, like those famous clips of like Ahsoka and Sabine and that whole situation with Thrawn, and Ezra going on the ship with Thrawn and then going off. Like I've seen that stuff. I've just never seen like the whole story. And so like it seems so weird that for a character that misses this guy so much, she decides that she doesn't want to be a part of like the ceremony to like commemorate them and whatnot. So because those are your friends, dude. Like even if like in terms of Star Wars, like you always commemorate your friends and then long for them, right? It's like Luke still like sometimes wants to talk to Yoda, right? Like it's that longing. That's the whole point of having Force Ghosts, is that longing for the people in the past that have taught you so much, who have basically helped raise you, and they're not doing that.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
I know, and like that. To be fair, like that's one of the pitches that Zach made as well. He was like, I want to make a movie that doesn't have any Skywalkers, no Han Solo, no nothing in it. I want to do my own thing, and Disney were like, no. It's like we want to stay there. And it's like, but I want to explore the galaxy, go somewhere else, and that's
Right.
again why he's made his whole story.
And
Like it's going to be very fascinating to watch. Just be thinking because he's been working on the movie, like in the script and the whole world build for 10 years more. I think it was before he started working on Man of Steel. He was working on this shit. So it's like, like like it'll be crazy to think that like for the first couple of years of this development, he was thinking this is Star Wars. Like, so it's going to be very interesting to watch.
so then if it is a hit and like then it really
That's what
will
I'm
turn
saying.
into like this could have been a legend all on its own.
Exactly. This is what I'm saying.
Like
Like he could have gone 100 years into the future and none of the Skywalkers exist, and then this could have been that world that you live in. Like, it's very possible. Chillin said in the chat there as well, season 4 becoming a movie. I think we spoke about that before, but I did hear that, and I think it makes sense. Why not? Like, I with the way that season 3 ended and how bad it actually did on Disney Plus, I think like put a good movie script together and just pump it out in one go. You know what I mean? Why not? I don't really like the idea of them stretching out another season that could be just as bad as the last, and it's kind of just ruining the legacy of how good that show was. The first 2
exactly.
seasons of that show were just chef's kiss, bro, like unbelievable, and they just went and ruined it. Like they ruined it.
It's
And
because it's mainly
what?
because of the fact that like they have Grogu and then they see that like they're so fixated on wanting the money that when
Oh
they
yeah,
saw Grogu and people were like, I love that little thing.
they're like
And then they're like,
ching
we need to sell fucking
merchandise.
millions of that bitch. Like bring him back.
I have a little Grogu
Whatever
just over
means
my
it costs.
head there. Look at him.
Yeah.
He's in the back. Yeah. Oh yeah,
But
man.
it's
Look, okay. And again, from a business point of view, it's a no-brainer. Like they bought Lucasfilm for $4 billion. They need to make their money back. So I can kind of understand that. That's fine. Um, what's up? How are you? Welcome into the stream. Back to Andre's question. What do you think about Filoni's new position? Like, I am personally a fan of it. I love Filoni. I think give him the more power you can give him, the better. If we were again, we're kind of talking about Mandalorian here, but like I think he did some of the best episodes of Mandalorian. Like he wrote some of the best ones, directed some of the best ones. So I kind of think, yeah, give him more power. And if he has the likes of John Favreau and stuff working with him, I don't see it being any worse than it has been. He can't make anything as bad as the sequel trilogy. I don't think that's physically possible. So that's my stance on it. I'm like, let him have at it. What's the worst that could happen?
I
Seriously,
don't know,
what's the
man.
worst that could happen? It's not
I
gonna be
don't
worse
know.
than the fucking Last Jedi.
I hope not. I mean, you
It
never
can't be.
know.
It can't be. Honestly, it can't be. Jesus, like no way. The worst episode of The Mandalorian is 10 times better than The Last Jedi. Let that sink in. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, even but like I know a lot of people shit on The Last Jedi, but I really think The Rise of Skywalker was just fucking horrible. Like it was one of those moments where it's like this character was brought back because they had no other reason to continue the story and they had to finish it as a trilogy. So they had to bring something back like and they didn't do it the right way because they tried to use some of the source material and then morph it into their own so that it doesn't look like they're trying to steal from like the source, but like it's yours, like use it, like
Yeah.
just use it. Like in the extended universe in the books, like Palpatine does come back, like he's I think essentially like a force ghost or like a basically a source that's like manipulating Luke in the sense Luke turns to the dark side.
Mhm.
But he was trying not to. He was like infiltrating like the whole like Empire situation because I can't remember exactly what's going on, but basically like he had to be saved by like his wife and children just to come back because like he was getting too far in because he was basically turning into his father over time. And I think that's a great situation. Like that's a great ordeal to have in terms of like a story because like that's always like on the back burner or like the back of our heads in terms of like what could happen to Luke because like Luke is Anakin's like son. So Why not have that moment of him struggling or failing to remain as a Jedi? Why not have him learn a bit of the dark side and then come back and then like have all this additional knowledge? Like why not dabble in both? Like that I think that's what we really liked about Anakin too, is the fact that like he was able to get into both.
Yeah, yeah,
So he had knowledge of both ends. And so it was just like he's so fucking smart at that point. Like he knows everything and he understands like both ends. And so like it's so hard for anyone to kind of go toe to toe with him except for Obi-Wan during his prime, because it was like, you know, he was still the mentor, and the whole point of like that fight was to destroy his master so that he could completely sever his feelings from, from the light side.
yeah. Yeah, just speaking of Anakin there, did you see there was some footage released today of like him and Ahsoka's uh like I think it was the younger version of Ahsoka training to fight against each other. Oh, bro. It was so good. It's just like Hayden just like being a swordsmith, like, just killing it as always. Like, and
Yeah.
it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see. Absolutely love it. Like I want more Anakin. I want more. I'd love some proper scenes between Luke and Anakin. I know it would be all like CGI and everything, but I just think like as fans we deserve it. So
Yeah, but again, like we have to go beyond that. I think we're done with that. Like I think I
I don't
really
think so. Like I think like the whole plan is like there will be a Mando season 4. There will be a Filoni kind of verse kind of movie, which is going to close it all off and then tie into episode 7. So there's like a gap in the timeline that is to be filled out by the next projects that are coming. Like all Dave's stuff is to fill out that gap in time and lead directly into the sequel trilogy. That's the plan. And once that's done, then it's open season. Like, it could go anywhere. Like, there's talks of a Ray movie, which is to be set like 15 years after episode 9 or something like that. And it's her building her own Jedi temple. I'll watch it, but I'm not like counting down the days for it to come out. Like, whatever. It is whatever. It could be amazing. They could fix all their mistakes that they made. Who knows? But I'm more interested to see like what the next trilogy will become. Are they going to go back in time? Are they going to go forward in time? Like, because they can't stick around that timeline anymore because it's all Skywalker, as you say. So it's like go way back to the beginning, tell like the proper prequel, or go into way into the future and just create a whole new galaxy. They got to do one of them. So we'll see.
I mean, if you really want to stay in that universe, by all means, but please stop with Anakin, Obi-Wan. Like just do some of the Jedi, do some of the council members. Do some of the stories about the council members on their way to becoming Jedi masters.
Yeah, yeah, I'd
You
like
know?
that. I'd like that. You could do that even in animated. Like, you could do like the Jedi Tales show that they brought out.
Yeah.
Tales of the Jedi. You could do like Tales of the Council or something, and then like do like an episode on each council member and how they became Jedi, how they got scooped up, their train, and all that sort of thing. That'd be cool. I'd love to watch that. That'd be great
Yeah.
because I always loved the deep lore, especially around the games and stuff like that. They delve like much deeper into the council and stuff. Like that's why I liked Plo Koon as a character because I can't remember which game it was, but there was a game where you played as Plo Koon and he had a yellow lightsaber, and it was like, holy shit, this guy's got a yellow lightsaber. It was like the first one you'd ever seen, and it was just crazy. It was
Mhm.
great. So that's the type of shit that would be really cool to kind of delve deeper in.
Exactly. And like that sounds amazing to me, because like at the very least we wouldn't just be delving into the same story that we've been handed to us for such a long time. Like I think it's time to move on. And like,
Yeah,
we're kind of going we're looping in over and over on this, but that's something that we really want to like drill into our viewers' heads. Is like we don't want to go back. We don't want to go back into like Anakin, Obi. Yes, they're fun. Yes, it's great. Yes, I love to see them. But you're not doing them a justice anymore. And I think that it's time to like at least give them a break and then come back. Like at the very least, like if you really want to come back to it, give them a break. Sometimes it's good to give them a break, because then people probably like regain their kind of like interest in Anakin, Obi-Wan, and even Luke. Give it some time. Give us some other shit.
yeah. I just don't know. I think they kind of dug their heels in now. I think they're gonna have to play out that story. Um, and then I think that'll be like the end of it. To be honest, I don't think they'll go back then. I don't like. there's big talks about like MCU reboots and all that stuff going on. And, like I think I even saw an article that came out a while ago about a Star Wars reboot, and like people really did not fucking go for that. Whereas like a Star Wars reboot, I can't remember who said, was it Ryan Johnson? Some big director kind of mentioned about a Star Wars reboot and how much of a good idea it would be. And like part of me thinks like it would be cool to kind of tell the story again with like new actors and stuff, but yeah, no, like it's one of those ones where I think Star Wars is one of those ones where it's just like it's a generational thing, you know, like my parents' generation had the original trilogy. I have the prequels, you know, the current generation of the sequels, and my kids will hopefully have a better a better trilogy than the sequels. But you know, I think it's a generational thing, and I think that's what makes it magical. I don't like the idea of them like recasting Luke Skywalker and starting all over again with a new hope and, you know, a new Vader and all this stuff. I just don't like the idea of that at all. Whereas I think like Hayden's in his late 40s now. You know, is he going to want to be still doing this when he's 70? Does it work the same? Probably not. You know, like the way that they've told the story now is like he is his young self, you know, and that's the way they've kind of told the story. You know, they can't really turn him into an old Force Ghost now. That just wouldn't make any sense. You know, then why would they change him to a young Force Ghost? You know, when they kind of retconned the old guy out of it originally and after episode 3. So I think they've kind of shoehorned themselves a little bit, and they kind of realize now that they have to actually do it, which is why I think that's going to be Dave's big plan, Dave's big position now in Lucas. It's going to be do your movie, do Mando 4, do Ahsoka 2, do whatever you got to do, and then like just, you know, heir to the Empire, big Tron event at the end, make it, if it could do half the money Infinity War did, amazing, like, you know, but that's the plan. Like Star Wars Infinity War, I think is going to be like the big thing. Like, so I'd say that's probably what's going to happen. Like, you know, this was kind of a kind of like dip of the toe into it, like where, you know, at the end of Ahsoka season 1, it's kind of as if they lost, kind of like Infinity War. They're all going to group together. They're going to all, the Skywalkers will assemble, and then you know, they're going to go after Thrawn, and then there'll be a big showdown and a big blockbuster movie. And I think that's what they're hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, okay, like doesn't sound exciting to me, but if they could pull it off, that'd be great. I think I'm just really cemented into the idea that like they need to just cut their losses and move on. But
Yeah,
again, like you're saying that they're shoehorned into it, so like it's, you know, by like I
yeah,
guess you have to finish it.
the roadmap is done. You know, that's kind of like, I don't know. Let's say if after Thor 2, we sat down and had a conversation, it's like, oh, you know, this is kind of going to shit now. You know, Iron Man 3 was shit, Thor 2 is shit now. It's like, let's just kind of fucking bail on the MCU. Like, it's kind of like these guys have a kind of roadmap done, and you know, the future for them is cemented. And also because the fact that they went to 7, they went 30 years into the future, they kind of have to close that gap as well. But I am very curious to see after the gap is closed where they do end up. It'll be interesting. So fingers crossed it's in a good place.
Right, but like compare, if you were to compare Star Wars to Marvel right now, the idea is that like Star Wars can't really recast people because they are so, you know, like those characters are so tied to the actors that it's really hard to get rid of them. I think that that's the opposite for Marvel. And I know most people are like, "Oh, you have to have RDJ as Iron Man." Well, he's gonna, like, RDJ is not gonna be old. Like, he's gonna get older, and it's gonna be harder. So like the best thing you can do right now is use an alternate universe. Like, I'm not telling you to go into the sacred timeline, which doesn't exist anymore. I'm not telling you to, like, you know, get rid of RDJ. I'm telling you, cast a new Iron Man within a different universe that's not a person that we absolutely know. And to be completely fair, like RDJ wasn't a big name until Iron Man. He was really like, he showed up in Tropic Thunder and Tropic Thunder I think was before Iron Man from what I remember.
No, it was after.
Are you certain? Because I swear they came out beforehand.
No, I think they came out like 1 year apart, or maybe like the same year, but I think he had done Iron Man first, if I'm not mistaken, because I think I was listening to him talk about it on the Joe Rogan podcast, and
Right. Okay.
his ma was like, I don't know if this is the right if this is the right thing for you to do now, like the whole blackface thing. So
Oh yeah, no, they were in the same. Yeah, okay. So you're right. Yeah, because it was in May for Iron Man.
yeah,
Okay.
so like
Well,
again, very
it's
close in time frame, very close.
Right, but even then, it's like still one of those moments where a lot of people were thinking that he was washed up and that he couldn't really amount to anything. Considering like that he had to go through a lot of detox and rehab and whatnot for everything that he's done. Like that's a story. That's a great story to tell about someone who's like actually got such good range and is able to do like a lot for himself now that he's like sobered up and whatnot. You're not going to get that again, unless like someone tries to recreate that process, which is very hard to do because not everyone is RDJ,
No,
and that's the
like
whole point. That's
a
the whole
lot of
point.
a lot of people call RDJ the greatest casting in movie history, and I think it's yeah, it's up there. Like like very like there's I can't remember who said it. Someone mentioned it recently. Big time movie director. I don't know if it was like Scorsese or someone said like he literally is the best casting in movie history. Like, and it's true. And I don't know if you saw the article that came out during the week, but Feige had mentioned that like they're not going to retcon his killing. Like, so basically, what a lot of people took that was is that RDJ is never going to return as Iron Man, which I don't think is technically true. But I think what Feige has said is that they're not going to bring him back to life. So they're not going to like ruin what took them 10 years to make, like to that storyline to get there. They're not going to rewrite it or redo it. That doesn't mean that a different, like an alternate version of them is going to come in somehow, or if they do like, you know, uh, flashbacks or something like that, or like maybe he's in Armor Wars and an AI version of him appears or something like that. I think RDJ will reprise the role in some shape or form, but it's not going to be that version of Tony Stark coming back to life. That's been confirmed. So apparently, what the latest rumors are is that the events will take place as they do all the way up to Secret Wars, and then after Secret Wars, the MCU is going to do a kind of most part reboot. So like a lot of the main characters will be rebooted, like Iron Man, Captain America, Black Widow. They'll all get rebooted. Some of the originals will stay. I think like Tom Holland's Spider Man will stay, and maybe like Hemsworth as Thor or something like that will hang around, but the rest of them are going to be rebooted. What do you think of that?
I think that's weird. I mean, considering what you're saying is a reboot, in my head, a reboot is a movie that redoes the entire timeline of something that already existed. So what you're telling me is that they're going to redo everything that they already did for the MCU, which is already like it's already its own spectacular timeline, in my opinion. Once it reached the end of Endgame, like that was it. That's great and all, but if you're telling me that, then I'm not for it. If you're telling me that they're going to do they're going to do a different universe, I'm all for that because that's the whole point of comics is that there's alternate universes. There's a reason why there's like Earth 1610, which is the Ultimates universe. There's a reason why they've redone like Ultimates. They have Ultimates 2, Ultimates 3. Like there's so many different variations that you can do of different characters, and so like that's the whole point of Marvel Comics and the different timelines and the multiverse is that you can redo. You don't have to call it a reboot. You just it's a new timeline. This is a brand new timeline that we're gonna do. And guess what? It's called the Ultimates. This is called the Supremes. This is called like the Incarnates. It's called the like it could be anything you want, and that's the whole point. There's endless possibilities, and yet they want to call it a reboot, and like that bugs me because now you're trying to tell me that you're going to redo everything, and I don't want
Yeah.
that.
So I think what's going to happen is there'll be Battle World, and then like whatever happens at the end of it, there'll be a new universe or a new timeline created, and a few of the people who survive the events of Battle World will live on and potentially remember everything, and then everyone else will be new characters. So I don't know if they go to a new universe or something new is created, and then Tom Holland and Hemsworth and Loki, or so I don't know, whoever ends up surviving will just be thrown down into that and have to kind of live in a new world with a whole string of new heroes, and potentially maybe there will be like retellings of stories that we know already.
So then that's still within the timeline. That's not a reboot. That's just them being thrown elsewhere. If you're talking about a reboot, if you're talking about them actually destroying everything and going back to square one, it's a new incarnation or a new generation that you create in terms of the comics. This is my nerd brain going right now. Celestials do that every iteration. We're in terms of the comics, I think we're in generation 7. We're not even the original Let that sink in. We're not even the original. So like when you really go into the comics and you see all these different situations that occur, can you believe that like look, what they're going to do is actually going to do that exact thing you're telling me? Because I don't believe that. I think that they're just going to fuck it up and try to make it seem like it is. But the beauty of that, to be completely honest, the beauty of that is to go, we fucking lied to you. It's not a reboot. It's a completely different fucking timeline within the same strands. Or they could be like, this is a new generation. And then there you go. There's your reboot. New generation, generation 8. That's what I see in terms of like these comics. But they're not going to do that. They don't want to do like source material anymore. They just wanted the namesake so that they can take these characters, take what they had, and then ultimately just do whatever they want with them, which they already have, and it's horrible. So I don't know how you feel about that, but that's how I see it. Like if they're really going to try to play this well enough, they have to do it as an alternate timeline, not a reboot, unless they do it the way in the comics where the Celestials managed to destroy the previous universe and create a brand new incarnation or the new generation, basically, where it happens all over again.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one because you got to think of it in a way as well. Like, let's say they do an entire reset back to square one. Like, it's like, are people still going to want to go and watch Iron Man 1 again and watch like all these movies again? Like, I think I personally would, of course. But do the normies want to do that? You know what I mean? I think that's maybe why they want to hang on to some of the original cast so that to make it feel like it's a continuation, but when in fact then they have the freedom to go, actually there's a new Iron Man in this world, there's a new blah 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 blah, or whatever, and like, let's recast. And now it's like, okay, we got a young guy and he's playing the new Tony Stark, and now we can do Tony Stark for 20 years, like, so I kind of
Right.
understand. I understand the logic from a normie standpoint, where it's like, let's not call it a full blown reboot because we might lose some fans along the way, because people will be like, oh fuck that, I'm not starting this again. Another 50 projects that I have to catch up on now to be back where we were. It's like,
Right.
I can understand. I can understand people's like frustration with it. So
Well,
again, me personally, I would love it. Of course, give me the more content, the better.
right. So the way you're describing this is exactly what they're doing with Sony. So Sony's created 3 different universes, and it's been confirmed in the MCU. These are multiple universes that were created for Spider-Man. So you have the Tobey Maguire one, which is Spider-Man. You have the Andrew Garfield one, which is actually the Amazing Spider-Man, and then you have, excuse me, you have Tom Holland's, which is technically your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Or it could be the Spectacular Spider-Man. It just depends on like which way you want to take it. But that's the coolest thing, is that you can take these namesakes, you can take the way that they're called, and you can make them their own universe. So like you have Iron Man, you have the Invincible Iron Man, you have like other variations of Iron Man that he's been called, the Superior Iron Man. You have this like, you can do all different types of things, and that's how you create like your own brand new universe. You can create, that's what I was saying just a moment ago. You can create a timeline called the Superior Timeline. You do a timeline called the Ultimate Timeline. You can call, any time. And like it will keep that original timeline that we started with intact. And we can go back to it any time. And that's what I think is the cool thing about it, is like you can go back to it any time at that point. Because now you haven't set it up. You set it up to the point where like, oh, Spectacular can go see the original Spider-Man. Like you can see the Invincible Iron Man gets contacted by the original Iron Man because some shit's going down. Like there's all kinds of things that you could do. There's that's the whole point of like a multiverse, infinite possibilities. And I know I've said that earlier, but like that's the beauty of it, man. Star Wars can't do that. Star Wars hasn't created anything of the sort for that kind of situation, which is why it's so hard to recast people from there. That's why it's so hard for you, Finto, to be like, please don't recast Hayden Christensen's
Yeah,
like
it's one
Anakin.
time. It's one timeline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas like Loki's already kind of set it in motion. Like there's so many strands and he's holding on to them. So like he's, essentially trying to make sure that there's like infinite possibilities and that they won't get destroyed. And so have fun with it by all means.
Yeah, yeah. Will we
And
talk
make
about Invincible a bit? I know we're
No.
45. We're
Well, can
45
we?
minutes in.
Yeah, of course.
I know I might have to change the thumbnail for this episode because we didn't really talk about it. But I can't remember. Did we talk about the first? I think we talked about episode 3. That was the one with Seth Rogen in it. That was fantastic, wasn't it? I really loved that
Uh,
episode.
yeah.
What was
We
his name again?
Alan the Alien.
Yes, Alan the Alien. Yeah,
My nose is plugged up too, man. So I felt
most
like I said Alan the Alien.
most standard name ever. I love though. Yeah, I just like the finale was great. Like Omni Man coming back into it was fantastic, and just the fact that like the big fight that happened at the end, and there was like a bit of a cliffhanger where it looks like he's been like paralyzed or whatever. Like I was like, holy shit, this is fucking crazy. Like, yeah, I was a bit sour though that like the first couple of episodes were fine. They weren't like incredible, and then this last episode, I was like, oh yeah, here we go. And then it's like, we'll see you next year. Bye. I was like, what? Like, oh man, like talk about a cliffhanger, like mid-season finale or whatever. Like I was like, shit. I wish it was just. I wish they kept going with it for a couple more episodes at least. I don't know how long the season's going to be altogether. I think maybe 8 episodes makes sense if they're taking a break at the halfway point. But yeah, thought it was great. Loved it.
I mean, it absolutely makes sense, and considering that they really need to make sure they get the animations right. I know that a lot of the people commenting on the current episodes up to now are kind of not as happy as they want to be because they really pulled back on a lot of the gruesomeness that was season 1. And like if you were to go through the comics, it's still pretty damn gruesome. So like they really pulled back if you look into what's going on in the comics compared to like what's going on in season 2. Like it's yeah, like you had all those moments where like they were fighting and there was bloodshed and whatnot, but like in the comics they were fucking each other up. They were going ham. They were just absolutely going ape shit for like on each other. And they they changed one of the characters from a male to female in favor, but she was fucking badass. So I was like, that's a sick ass like thing to have, like a
The
fucking
sword on
like
the
a
end of her
dagger
hair.
on the like that's
That
so
was so
fucking
cool.
cool.
Yeah, it was epic. Loved it.
And like I was like, I like this more because like it shows like how combat ready she is. She's like, I will fucking kill you. Like and Invisible's like, I can't kill anybody, and it's like, dude, and it's
You
like
fucking got it, bro.
yeah, like
Yeah.
oh my god, like Nolan was just he was like, you have to kill them, you
Yeah.
have to, man.
Yeah, because otherwise
And
they're gonna fucking kill you. Yeah.
and I
It was
forgot what the general's name, but he's basically a nod to Zod.
Yeah.
And basically
Yeah,
he was
that
like, you're now part of the mission, so you're gonna have to take over Earth, and if you don't, we're gonna come and get you. And I'm like, that's great. That's such a good plot. That's amazing. I love
it.
that.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait for more. Do we know when it's coming back?
I think sometime in January, late January, early February. It's like not too far.
Yeah, that's not too far. It's okay. We'll survive.
But honestly, like I'm really enjoying the show for the fact that it's like really hitting all the notes. You have the internal struggles between different superheroes. Adam Eve, her story is actually really good. The fact that she almost killed people because she was trying to help. Then she thought that she could pretty much like be on her own when it turns out that she's still kind of young and that she really doesn't know anything about the world as much as she's like so bright-eyed.
Yeah.
And it's like such a great feeling when you see that scene where she's actually like sleeping in the Guardians of the Globe like headquarters. And
Yeah.
it's because of that she like runs into I forgot what the villain's name was, but that's basically her villain. And so he pops in, he grabs the energy source, and then they duke it out on the bridge. And she ends up like basically causing casualties again. And she's like, I guess I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so she goes back to her family, which like there's like her father's such an abusive jerk. Like I get what he's trying to convey. Like there's some moments where like the things that he was saying was actually true, but he's so far up his ass about like understanding the feelings of another person that like he doesn't understand that like even though this is not your kid, you should probably treat her like she is.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
He's so fearful of her, and you can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't know, like I suppose you kind of have to take a different approach to parenting when your child's a superhero. You know, it's not the same. It's not the same story. They don't read off the same rule book. You know.
Yeah, but that's Clark. Like that's like Clark Kent. You know,
Yeah,
that's his story. I forgot the freaking. It's like Martha and what's his name?
Jonathan.
Jonathan. So Martha and John, like they took care of Clark, and he could have easily been uh like a jerk, but
But
they made sure.
Jonathan Kent was the same story though. Like, you know, can't use your powers. You can't like go out in the pub. Like, you know, people can't know who you are. They can't know that you have these powers. They're going to take you away. They're going to lock you up and all this stuff. Like, so
Yeah,
kind of the same story. You know, like he was very, very much a protective parent
right.
for a long
Whereas
time.
like you know, you see Adam Eve, and she wants to do good, and she's like she totally wants to do the right thing, which is opposite of kind of what like their parent like her father is trying to tell her, because he's like, what, you don't understand the lives of normal people. And I think that's his whole point, is like, you don't understand what we go through. And I'm hoping that in the later season, or even in the next season, like we get to see Adam Eve kind of like tone it down and just kind of maybe try to live a normal life and only jump in when it's absolutely necessary. um but I do also feel like she's going to rejoin the Guardians of the Globe, because she's really got nowhere else to go, and she can't really associate with her parents too much.
Yeah, like I thought it was kind of strange because you know before the second season started of the show, we got the Adam Eve special, and I kind of thought like, okay, they're bringing this out because she's going to be a big part of season two, and they want to tell her, you know, her origin story or whatever. But I kind of feel she hasn't really been part of the new season that much at all. So I don't know, maybe she'll be a big part of part two. But
Mhm.
it seemed kind of strange that she's only had a kind of small role in the show so far.
Right. But I mean, it's still very interesting. Like, I really like that special. That was a really good special to show like this character who wasn't necessarily born with powers like from the get-go. She was like born in a lab, and she,
Mm.
you know, but she's like the perfect embodiment of like what they were trying to do. And I feel like that same kind of organization, unless I'm wrong, like is going to come for later in the like in the later seasons probably. Because I think that's a great story to like retell and have her find out like her true origin story, and to understand who she really is, and then come to terms with like who her parents are and whether or not she wants to still associate with them. Because that's a very those I love stories like that, because it's like,
Yeah,
oh shit, these aren't my real folks.
there's a lot of compelling stuff going on in the show right now. Even if you step away from Invincible and Omni Man, like there's still a lot of cool shit happening. Like even I love the story of the agent who's finding out that he's a clone or whatever. Like you know that's
So
fucking
good.
so well done as well. Like you know we finding the glasses and the rubble and all, and it's like how fucked up would that be? Like if you know if you found out that you know are you a clone? Are you like a double or something or you know, and it's like, is this the first time it's happened? Like, you know, like your head would be spinning if that was happening to you, you know.
Right.
It's fucking epic. And even Invincible's mother as well, like I kind of like her kind of trying to come to grips with the fact that like her husband was lied to her her whole life and their whole marriage, I mean, sorry, and like that, like, you know, yeah, like imagine having to deal with that. Like, you know, you're considered as like a fucking a pet and, you know, he's just there to take over the world or it's just yeah, it's fucked up, bro. I love it.
And and Debbie is kind of like taking the worst of it right now, but like she's definitely going to be afraid of Mark. Um
Yeah,
because it's like that same situation. It's like, is my son going to end up just like his father? Am I going to have to deal with this all over again? Like, what's
yeah.
going to happen? Like this, apparently this race of Viltrumites is so deadly, and we have one that's like a half Viltrumite that's somehow okay with everything for now. But you never know. Like he could be rage filled. He might kill someone by accident and like be rage filled, and it turns into that point of like people turning against him. And I think that's going to eventually happen, in my opinion. But for now, like the big threat is the Viltrumites and the fact that they captured Omni Man, and it kind of makes me think like eventually we're probably going to see a death. Like we're probably going to see Omni Man die, um, because there's absolutely no way Omni Man can really get come back from this. There's been so much shit that he caused, and he didn't fulfill his mission. So like both parties are pissed at him. So he has nowhere else to go really.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know any of the comic stories or anything like that. So I'm in the dark, and I kind of like that I'm in the dark about it. I'm kind of just getting to experience it as a noob. So
Of course.
yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I can't wait for more. I actually, speaking of like Amazon shows as well, I restarted watching The Boys, and I haven't watched it since I first saw it. So I think like season one came out in 2020 or something, or
Mhm.
2019 or something like that. Man, The Boys on a rewatch is incredible. Like me and my girlfriend sat down, and we watched like the first half of season one in like one go, and I was just like, "Oh my god, the show's so much better this time around." Like like obviously I have fond memories of the show from when I first watched it, but like as a binger, it is absolutely mind blowing how good the show is. I cannot wait for that to come back. Like, oh my god, like I think we're just about to end season two, going into season three now. It's like, oh, it's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. I don't
Absolutely.
know if you're I don't know if you remember, but I got my mom hooked on it.
Yeah, you were. Yeah, I remember you were saying. Yeah, she snuck off to watch it in a different room by herself and
Yeah,
all.
she did.
That's
It's
sick. That's sick, dude. I
so
love it.
good. Like it's like gruesome. It's stuff that like I knew that she would enjoy. Like
Yeah,
so it's kind of funny because she's always like every time she comes to visit or I talk to her and I recommend new stuff, she's like, Mijo, like stop trying to give me so many things to watch. Like I'm already hooked on like The Walking Dead because you want me to watch The Walking Dead.
yeah,
Now I was hooked on Breaking Bad because you wanted me to watch Breaking Bad. Like I don't like and I'm like, yeah, because they're good shows. Like you got to check them
yeah,
out. Like you got to really dig your feet into those. And
yeah.
you know, um, she went through the entire Walking Dead series. She loved it. Like I kind of dropped off after the prison with like
The governor and stuff.
the governor. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm ashamed to say I went a few seasons more than that, but I gave up at around season six. Funnily enough, I remember when they brought in Jeffrey Dean Morgan, and I love Jeffrey Dean. So I was like, oh my god, Jeffrey's gonna come in. He's gonna save this show. It's gonna be fucking incredible. I can't wait. And it was shit. And I was like, fuck. I was like, no. Like I think it was season six, maybe season seven when I stopped watching it. But that show fell off so hard, in my opinion. Like I
Yeah.
can't believe they went. Did they go 11 seasons or something? I can't believe it went
Y-
on for that long.
Yeah, they went ham. It went way longer than it should have in terms of the series. Like in terms of the
Crazy.
yeah, in terms of the comics, a lot of the characters that you saw are already dead.
Yeah, like it's oh man, like I remember it got to a point like, and again, a few of my like IRL friends, like people that I work with and stuff like that, like we'd always text each other going like, "Oh, another shit episode," or "Oh, a good one for once." Like, yay! Like they used to keep like kind of giving you a bit of hope and bringing you back in. Like I
Oh
remember
yeah.
it got to a point where I think the first 3 or 4 seasons, I loved every episode of it. I was like, this is incredible. I love it. Don't never want it to end. Then it started getting to where it was like there'd be like 2 or 3 good episodes, and then there'd be like a stinker, and then there'd be like another 2 or 3 good episodes, and then another stinker, and you'd be kind of like, oh, it's getting rocky now. And then it got to a point where it was like one good episode, one shit, one good, one shit, and it was kind of like fuck there, I keep feeling like I'm gonna stop and the next episode's great and I'm back in and I'm off again. And then when it got to a real stage of being dangerous for me, it was like 3 bad episodes in a row, and then it was like one amazing episode. And I was like,
Mhm.
shit, okay, fuck, are they back? Are they back? And then it was like, okay, no, 3 more shit episodes. Okay, I gotta stop watching it. And then I'd watch one more and I'm like, fuck, that was epic. And then it was like, okay, fuck. But yeah, it got to a point where I had to pull the trigger on it. Like, and I'm usually the type where if I start a show, I'm in it till the end. I'll watch it from beginning, and I'll have to see what happens. I'll wait it out. But there's a few shows where it's just like it gets so bad. You're just like, I've got so much shit to watch. I just can't commit to this one anymore. I gotta let it go.
Mhm.
And The Walking Dead, yeah, for me was around season 6 or 7. I can't remember, but yeah, I couldn't believe it went on for 3 or 4 seasons after that.
Yeah,
Crazy.
I mean that's what happened when that excuse me. That's what happens when you like stray too far from like the source material.
Yeah,
You think you're going into a section where it's going to be gold, and in reality, like you're kind of pushing yourself into the wrong direction, and you really don't want to you really don't want to push too far away from it because then it's like it turns into all these different shows that we've already seen, like Loki, She-Hulk, like a little bit of Moon Knight here and there because like they really kind of dropped the ball in terms of like the aspect of Moon Knight, which I think like in my opinion, Moon Knight was the strongest like show, and most people would disagree with me because they think that like Loki season one is the top, and I don't. I highly disagree. They could have had so much more to do with Loki season 1, and the only reason why people thought it was amazing was because they had a lot more special effects in term like for some of the episodes, which yes, although it did look good, I think that like a lot of people are a little too rose colored
Mm.
glasses. Like they have too many people with rose colored glasses on. And with Moon Knight, I thought it was spectacular because it was a breath of fresh air in terms of like all the things that were going on. Like you had these underworld, like kind of like Anubis dogs trying to go after Moon Knight, in addition to like a villain that was portrayed at the very beginning so that we kind of know who he is and what he's going through and what he's trying to do. You have the character not knowing that he's actually like an anti-hero, or not necessarily an anti-hero, but a hero in disguise, who doesn't even know he's a hero yet because he's got like like dissociative identity disorder.
Hmm.
um and just this nice influx of like different moments of like transformation, which they overdid at certain points, which is probably why it fell off a little bit. But in terms of the story, I think that like it did really well up until the dream, up until like the death part where um they were kind of like dealing with the hippo goddess, which that's fine. But I think that
Yeah.
it's fine, but they took a little too long. I think it took a little too long to kind of like get them out of there. And I think that they should have gotten out like maybe an episode sooner. Um, and that would have like sped things up a bit. The blackout sequence was done to shit after like I think the third or fourth time. It's like, dude, stop. Like
Mm.
you need to just let him transform and
Yeah, it
let
was
us see
terrible, bro.
everything. Um, there the sequence for like them getting material in order to like realign the stars to the point uh where they needed to be at like a certain timeline. I thought that was really cool because it like referred to all these different ancient Egyptian scriptures that they had to steal from this guy who was like trying to sell them. and
Yeah.
and I thought that that was great. Like it really felt like a Marvel show because it was like all these different like aspects going on in addition to our hero showing up in costume and having moments where he's combat ready. Like we didn't have like when he turned into like he had his own costume and he was like doing like the basically like the pugilist kind of persona.
Yeah.
I thought that was fantastic. Like he's such a strong character, and then like when he needs to be even stronger, he has to change to Mark Spector.
Yeah, yeah, like the that show had its moments. I actually I only recently saw a TikTok made about the bit where he's like scrolling back in time through the skies, and it's like, how has that not been mentioned in the MCU? Like that happened, like like
Right,
that
like
happened in the world, and like not one person talked about it.
you would think that Nick Fury would have been like, we had some
Anybody,
disturbances, we went to go
anybody, yeah,
infiltrate, we saw that, we have that documented.
yeah,
So now we know that Moon Knight exists. Now we know that like, they knew Miss Marvel existed. They
yeah,
knew like, so why don't they know like Moon Knight exists? Why don't they know that Werewolf by Night exists? They have to know, dude. They're literally like cryptid and superhero and antihero and villain like documenters. Like
yeah,
they document everything. They know
yeah.
everything.
I know, makes no sense.
It really doesn't.
I just I don't get it, man. Like it's like, where's the connective tissue? Like I know I say it all the time, but like, do we have to wait until fucking Secret Wars to get some connective tissue again? Like I know we have Deadpool 3 coming, but like that's gonna be like connected into all the Fox stuff and all. Like that's gonna be just like No Way Home again. Like that's just like crowd service and closing off the whole Fox thing. Like, but like, where's the connective tissue in the MCU? The thing that brought us to the MCU, that made us love the MCU. I know obviously at the end of Captain Marvel, you get the Kate Bishop scene where it's like, oh hey, I found like they're basically setting up the Young Avengers, like, and
It it's
uh,
it's turning into Grogu again, man. Like
yeah,
they love Iman Vellani. They love her.
yeah,
And she's not a bad actress. I just think that they overdid some of the things in the Marvels to make her seem like a more likable character.
yeah, I agree. And like, while I love Kate Bishop as a character, and I'm actually only in the middle of a rewatch of Hawkeye, it's going to become one of my Christmas traditions. I'm going to rewatch Hawkeye every Christmas because it's a
Mhm.
Christmas show. And again, I've watched like I'm halfway through episode 5, like so I've nearly finished it already in one day. Like so, I was kind of sick today, and I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm like, oh, it's December, and I'm sick again. I'm like, hey, let's throw on Hawkeye. Oh, it's what I did last year. I was like, let's do it again. So it's a bit of a tradition, COVID and Hawkeye in December every year. So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully not. But to be honest, like I really love that show. I don't know why. I just do. Like again, I'm big into like Green Arrow is my favorite like superhero. Like so I'm like an Archer lover. Like so I'm kind of thinking like it's a show about archers. Like why wouldn't I love it? Like so, um. I just think it's really well done, and I think if you watch it, like if you binge it, if you watch like the first 3 episodes in one sitting, like it's just got a really good flow to it, and it's really nice. And the fact that now we have like Kate Bishop showing up again in the MCU after that project, which was what 3 years ago now at this stage,
Mhm.
it's great to see her again. But I'm kind of like, oh, I'd love for her to show up somewhere else rather than in a Young Avengers movie or show. I just don't know if it's gonna hit well. I don't know if Disney can. I would have said, in the height of the MCU, if they decided to do a Young Avengers like thing, it would work. But I just would, with how shaken the foundation is right now, I think a project like that is probably going to fail.
Yeah, I mean, like they got to do something though. Because we're still too tied to the original Avengers that we can't even like. We're not even trying to fathom the chance of having other chapters,
Like the
basically.
original Avengers don't even exist right now, so and I think this is probably what they're planning to do. The fact that, from what I've heard, like they're going to have like champions of each timeline, and like Tom Holland's character is going to be like the champion of the 616. So it's
Mhm.
like, is he going to come back after the events of everything that happens and go, okay, I need to assemble a new Avengers, and then that's how they start it all again, and they'll have all the OG characters back. I just that makes sense to me, but I'm kind of hoping that I hope that happens sooner rather than later, because like I don't want like a teenage girl all like fucking Young Avengers where it's just Miss Marvel going around collecting all the girls to do a big like fucking spin-off movie where it's just them, and it's like half them have no training, and like who are they going to fight, and it's not going to be interesting. It's just I don't know, like it's just not really, it's not for me. Like it's that type of project is not being made for me, like so it's rough, man. I kind of I want good shit to happen in the MCU again, because it's on rocky foundation, as I've said.
Well, well, I wouldn't be opposed
Yo,
to I wouldn't be opposed to having like an all female cast. I think they just need to really direct it properly. I think they're constantly worried about like the feelings of a character rather than their sense of duty as a superhero, which is like exactly what the whole point of Spider-Man is. It's like, yeah, he's struggling with being a kid, and he's also struggling with like having a relationship with Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy at the time, but like he still has to be a superhero. And so like that's the whole point of it. Like you see characters like, Jean Grey or Scarlet Witch, and those characters are always dealing with the fact that they might be too powerful. Um, and so it's never a worry about whether or not they're like having a bad day. Um, and so like, but they're like, it's fine if you want to have a bad day, but you'd have to have a series kind of like where one of the episodes is I'm having a bad day, which is fine because that's sometimes you have a bad day. Um, but in terms of these characters, you want to establish them as superheroes first and people second, to be honest. Like I know that sounds fucked up, but like you have to let us feel that character's like sense of duty and be
hmm
excited for when they actually go into action. And then give us that point of like, hey, you're doing too much. You're spreading yourself thin. Are you going to be okay? Because then that becomes like the reality. It's like, oh shit, we didn't realize that we're we're rooting for someone and we're not even realizing like that they're still a person. And so
yeah,
that's how it hits so hard with Iron Man. That's why it was so fucking important with Iron Man, because it was like, Tony, you're just one man. Like you're just one person. Why are you doing this alone? Why do you keep doing this on your own? Like you're going to get yourself killed. And Iron Man is always like, I have to put a suit of armor around the world. I have to protect the world. It's my fault for causing all these troubles. Like I was the
yeah,
one that started the weapons programs. Like and it's like, but it causes him to drink and become like belligerent at times, but not like mean to his like friends and family. It's just like he's struggling with this internal feeling of like I it's all on my shoulders. I can't stop. And Pepper's like, "No, Tony, you have to stop. You're going to die." And it's so important in that aspect of like, holy shit, we're kind of pushing this character too hard.
Mm.
And it hits so much harder when you think about it that way, because then at the end of, you know, like I really liked Iron Man 1 through 3. I think, I think that the story wasn't the best, but it was still like hit that point of like you can't do everything on your own, Tony.
Yeah.
And you're going to lose your relationship with Pepper if you keep doing this. And so like by the end of 3, you see that like he actually destroyed all of his like his Iron Legion at the end of it after he had help from it. But it's because he was trying to kind of push himself away from it, or because of the fact that he was like locked away from it, because of the attack on his Malibu suite.
Yeah.
It's like it really shows that like it's really hard for him to do things on his own. He needs that suit of armor just to make himself feel powerful at times. But he also needs to rely on people, because not everyone is out to get him. And like that was the point of that kid, because the kid kind of showed him like, hey, I think you're awesome, and I learned a lot from you, and I think you're a great person. And Tony's like, I'm not a great person. Like I'm very much the opposite. Like I've done a lot of bad. And it's like, no, dude, you've done a lot of good. And like that was the whole theme of that, is like you've done a lot of good. It's just you don't know when to really put yourself in a predicament of like understanding like this person. You know,
Yeah.
if he had listened to Killian, um, AIM might have not have happened. Like maybe we wouldn't have had the Extremist Project. Maybe things would have been stabilized. We would have had like the Extremist virus, which that still could have been its own story as well, because like the Extremist virus was created later on,
Mhm.
and then Tony has like nano machines, which we see in like Infinity Wars and whatnot. And so it's like it's such an interesting concept. There's so many different things that you can take from it. And so like, that's all I'm getting from it. So like if you do an all female cast, please like make it as if we're looking at the heroes first before we really understand who they are as people.
Yeah. Yeah, I just on paper it just doesn't sound great right now, but as they develop a story and stuff, if it sounds interesting, of course, like I'm gonna watch it either way, of course. But like I just there's nothing pulling me to a concept of that right now, you know.
Which is
But
insane, because you love Iron Man 1, and that's exactly what happened in Iron Man 1.
I do, I love Iron Man 1, and I love Iron Man 2 as well. And I know it's like considered one of the worst MCU movies, but I don't know, it's just Iron Man changed everything, so I think Iron Man gets a pass. Even if his movies are kind of shit, he gets a pass. Like a lot of people hate Thor 2, but again, I don't hate that movie, but it is not bottom 10, like maybe like bottom 15. It is what it is, but yeah, look, I don't know. I think everybody's kind of faith in the MCU has been shook. So, I think they need to go back to basics, start bringing out some content that they know everybody's going to love. And I think like the rumor is that they're potentially planning on like doing an Avengers movie with like the original cast to try and bring people back. And I think that maybe is a little step too far, but I think they could get a win again by just you know connecting stuff, bringing maybe some cool characters back. Like where's Bucky, where's fucking Sam Wilson, like where's like White Vision, where's Wanda, like all these cool characters that we love. Like you could bring them back, rather than like talking about doing fucking stupid projects. It's like
Mhm.
take a break from the stupid shit. Let's go back to the stuff that we know works. And then once you've kind of got people's faith restored, then go and do like a Young Avengers when, it's like, okay, we can kind of take a bit of a chance again, like they should be putting everything they have into the likes of like Spider-Man 4, Thor 5. Well, maybe Thor 5 is going to be a big redemption as well. Like obviously Love and Thunder was a whopping failure, but I think that they know that themselves. Chris Hemsworth himself has said he's like, okay, we went too far with that one, and I know it. He's like, so the fact that they've admitted the fact that they've failed, you know. And I know Taika Waititi's come out recently. And it's just like, you know, oh, the only reason why I took that was for money and all. I didn't care about the projects and all. It's like him trying to.
That's the worst thing to say.
I know, yeah. It's like him. And I think that's him being sore as well, because it's like they haven't like they're not taking him back, and that's him kind of just like, well, I just did it for money anyway, you know.
Yeah, they just haven't called him back.
Yeah. So I was like, we don't. Yeah, fuck you. Like, we don't want that. Yeah. I've said that Blakey just in the chat here. It's like, why is nobody spoken about a giant hand sticking out of the Earth's atmosphere? Yeah, I agree. Why haven't they? Like, and I say this all along. Like, you know, it's like in the comic books that becomes like an Avengers base later on. It's like, you know, it's like no one's even spoke about it. I think there's one tiny mention to it in a news article or something, or it pops up on a screen on a TV and Guardians 3 at the end or something. Maybe it showed up for like 1 second on the TV. You know, whereas like, you know, the very next project should have been like, Jesus Christ, did you see what happened there? Like, there's a fucking alien sticking out of the Earth. Like, you know, it just oh man, shit annoys me.
Dude, I love your accent when you say there's a fucking alien out there.
Yeah, well, like seriously though, you know, that's where we're at. That's what's happening. You know.
Yeah.
It's rough, man. It's rough. It's rough to be a Star Wars nerd, or it's rough to be a Marvel nerd right now. Rough to be a Star Wars.
It's rough to be. Yeah, it's rough to be both.
Yeah, it is. Look, I don't know, man. I don't really have much else to say today. I don't know if anybody has anything they want to talk about just before we break for the week, but there's not a lot happening. You know, I was hoping that I was going to have a big long list of stuff to talk about on our triumphant return to the cast, but to be honest, like, there's nothing really out there that's like really getting me excited. You know, like we kind of spoke about the Deadpool 3 stuff, which I thought was hilarious, that, you know, Ryan Reynolds kind of made a joke out of it himself. And like some of the stuff, I don't know if you saw the leaked photos. Did you see the set photos that got leaked?
Yeah, I saw the leaked photos.
Like Sabretooth and shit, and like the Fantastic Four mobile and all. Like, it's crazy. It's really cool.
It's gonna be interesting. Not sure how much they're gonna do for those characters. I'm not sure how long they're gonna be sitting around, but like I feel like it's only going to be seconds in between.
It's a one and done, bro. I think it's going to be kind of bounce around the multiverse sort of thing, and let's just kind of hit as many nostalgias as we can. Like, and yeah, I can't imagine that like Sabretooth and Toad are going to be hanging around for the whole movie. You know, I don't think so. Like, there's rumors Carl Urban's going to show up as a variant of Wolverine, and Daniel Radcliffe and all this mad shit as well. Like, so like I think it's going to be very much kind of, let's just pop in while these Earths are getting destroyed. We'll kind of just throw our nose in and see what's going on, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I mean they could do memes of Wolverine as well, because I know so many people want Danny DeVito to be Wolverine.
Yeah, Danny DeVito Wolverine, that'd be great.
Just a big round dude with his hair like sticking up.
Yeah, I'd love it. I'd love it. Guys, appreciate everybody who's listening to us here on YouTube. If you're watching us on Twitch as well, I much appreciate it. Make sure you give us a follow, drop a like on the video, leave us a comment below if you're watching us on a replay. If you're listening to us on Spotify, leave us a review. Really helps the podcast get seen on the giant sea that is the podcast world. We'll be back next week. I don't know what we're going to talk about next, but sure, keep an eye on the socials and we'll figure it out. Yeah, have a good day, everyone. Take it easy. Bye-bye.